Good evening, and welcome to another episode of America and Black. Welcome to another episode of Charles King Stories from the Heart, the book club. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I hope everybody enjoyed the book or is enjoying the book. As we move forward. Hello, young lady.
Hello, how are you?
I am excellent, and you?
I am doing well, thank you.
How's your week been so far?
I can't complain. It's been good. So I am happy.
Yeah, I was asking Dr. Ford about you last week. I'm like, I hope everything is okay.
Yes, I was driving I go back and forth to New York. That's where I'm from. So I was driving back and usually I would have put my headphones in, but the battery had died. So I had my son in the car, so I didn't want to have him in on our conversation.
Right. Well, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Let's give some of these other stragglers the time to come in.
All right. Let me just put something on the plate
Okay.
real quick for my son. I'll be right back.
All right.
Alex, dinner is ready.
Good evening.
Hey, Dr. Ford, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. What do you call it? An eventful week, but good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, same here. I'll say pretty uneventful, but we pushed through and we made it through it. Been able to have some time to rest and rejuvenate, so feeling motivated about next week.
Right.
Yeah, I see my girl Monette is on.
Yes, she is. Yeah, I was telling her I was asking about her last week.
I think she was driving down from New York City.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
super excited about tonight and the book. This is a really good book.
well, I didn't get a chance to get all the way into it. I just got mine yesterday because
Oh, gee.
I went to called Barnes and Nobles to get it, and they didn't have it. All of the stores here in Atlanta didn't have it.
Hmm.
So I went online to my Kindle to download it to my Kindle, and I was having issues doing that. So I just ordered the damn book. Uh,
Yeah,
um, so I finally got it, but I didn't get a chance to get all the way into it up to the point where I needed to be. So
that's all good. That's all good. It's
yeah.
all good. Still be a fruitful conversation in the first. I feel like the halfway point is not trying to keep up, dates are the chapters, but the halfway point is around like October 30th,
Mhm.
Halloween-ish. And so I almost made it up to that point. So I think we are all in the same kind of spot.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like so far what I've read is good,
hmm
you know.
I can just imagine. Let me see if what's going on with Amen because he's normally on quickly.
Thank you.
Hey, my dear, how are you?
I'm I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Cannot complain. Hey, Lexa girl. She looks so cute with her hair cut like that.
And her jacket, you see her jacket?
I do see her fashionable jacket.
And she got her pockets.
Too fancy for me.
She's too fancy for me, girl.
So we all kind of gotten to a point where we're like almost to the middle of the book. Everybody's gotten their books, in different uh, at different times it seems like, but I feel like overall the story is really cute.
Oops, sorry.
Because I'm thinking about that whole first series, the first three books that he did. Because Covenant is number two.
Right, I noticed that, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even read any of the previous books, but I will get into them now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that because his series is kind of interesting because it's like from what I gather is I'm just trying to get see if any of the other folk are gonna log in. Um, what I gather from his series and his writings is he's doing three perspectives in one, and so I'm not sure if that's what the first three books are supposed to represent or his writing style, and that is he is talking about his blackness or the black culture. Um, he's talking about just people in general and how people relate to him and to the black LGBTQ community, and also just the issues in general that affect our communities. And so that's why it looks like I may want to see what his series is about because it seems it's pretty interesting because did you see that very first book that he did? Again, not from this series, but he did another book before this,
Okay.
and I forgot what it. Hold on a second, I'm gonna tell you what it's called because that's what kind of like it's like making me feel like well maybe I need to know a whole lot more about him. Uh,
Who recommended this book?
Actually, it was one that I had put in a 10 book series, but I had no idea. Like I have heard of him and I had seen the books, but
Hmm.
I didn't actually go in depth to check them out until now because he did this book called "Birth of a Dark Nation," which was done first, right? And
Okay.
so with that, it's more like an activist book, but at the same time, what is it looks like it's one of those books that kind of delve deep into some issue-based situations. And so I know that this is a book that I'm gonna get. I can tell you that. I'm gonna get this book.
Yeah, it seemed like yeah, I like his writing in this book. It makes me curious about his other writings as well.
I'm glad whoever like I'm glad that you had this we're gonna start or are we waiting for more people?
Well, we can go ahead and start because I mean it's like I don't understand, but I know people sometimes have stuff going on.
I usually do audio books. So at first I was frustrated, like I gotta go and freaking order a book and wait for Amazon and but I'm so happy because I'm an old school person, right? So I fell in love with books, from a book, not audio. Audio has
Yeah.
become a way of convenience, which allows me in traffic and all this other stuff to, get a book. But sometimes the book is still playing. You're like, oh, let me run in this room and get something or, whatever. So with this book, I felt I went back to the day where I'm on the bathroom taking a book with me, like, what's going to happen?
Right.
You
It was
know?
good.
And
It's good so far.
I'm thankful for that because I miss my hand rubbing on pages. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah.
And and because like the setting is in our DC area, we're here, so it was like, okay,
I know that area.
yeah.
Like I know Colorama Park. Okay.
So that was,
Yeah.
that was really good because you're able to visualize, for us, for me, I was able to visualize it. And also this brought me back to college days because I was like reading about the step shows. I was like, oh yeah, I remember.
The
I could imagine, I could
fraternity.
hear that. I could hear the calls from across the yard and all that. And I went to a white school, so I could definitely
Same.
relate because the black kids, like when people are like, oh, I want to go to HBCU, and it's like I'm all for that. But for me, what my experience was that when going to a white school, all the black kids knew each other, and we were very very tight. So I feel like even though going to a historically black college is good university, is a nice thing. It's also, but I think I can't speak for it because I've never been to one, but I know for me, my experience is that because there weren't many of us, we were really tight, and it was like, from alumni down, like, oh, you're doing this. So and so graduated 2 years ago, but I remember they had this professor. Let me put you in contact with them.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of that. So I really enjoyed this book overall.
Same. I agree. I got mine actually on Kindle. So um, but I do agree with you. Having a book hand copy is great. But I'm going through mine reading it, and I think it's great. Definitely agree with the familiarity of like the DC area. I think that's pretty cool because like we're here in the area, so it kind of resonates with us, and we know some of these landmarks. I do like the character development of the book, so I think it'd be fair if any of the viewers haven't like read the book. Maybe we should start off with like giving them some flavor of it because it's pretty cool so far.
Mhm. So go ahead, Monette.
So I was gonna say with the characters, like I love me some Nina.
Hmm.
Nina, he is so in tune with, like I think like when there's a part in the very beginning where Nina meets Tatiana and they're like, oh girl, I like this, and the moment she's like, I hate that
You're like,
bitch.
I hate that bitch, and laugh with it because you're just like, I just hate that bitch. Like,
I love it. I
she's definitely
absolutely.
real, and I think how he portrayed her character to be. It's like one of those black girls that are really like, I'm about my business. I'm going to handle it. I'm going to be boisterous. I'm going to be expressive. I got my afro puffs. I'm like, I'm here. So I think that's a beautiful, like how he portrayed her character is really neat. Um, and giving her the best friend role, I think it really helps underline her importance of being a character. So
So
Nina is the best friend of Adrian, y'all. I
mhm.
believe. Yes,
Mhm.
Adrian. And Adrian is the main character. And Adrian seemed like he been going through it. Oh, especially with frats. I don't know what I'd never been a part of a,
Eternity.
fraternity coming up into my college years. Always wanted to, always heard of it. Heard of the happenings that some people wanted to share, but I did hear that the initiation and the process can be um, very eye-opening for individuals, very transformative for individuals, but some people have uh, posed challenges of going through those periods because at one point to get into a fraternity, you had to be hazed. I don't even know if they even use that language anymore now, but that hazing can consist of a lot. So Adrian being in this phase of his early adult years, going to college and having to deal with the abuse and the discrimination in the sense of going through the fraternity process and discovering that recently he's gay. and identifying with that really puts him in a unique position. So I like his perspective. But that is
Well,
yeah.
we didn't have the first book, so I don't know if he figured out he was gay during the thing, because it seems like he was dating somebody. So I think he
Hmm.
got outed while he was, while he was pledging the fraternity. But I think he knew. I don't know how long he knew he was gay, but he was in a relationship with somebody.
Right, right.
So I think that first book would have probably given us a little bit more insight into, when he knew.
Yeah. I wonder if that first book also alludes to the relationship that he has with his parents, because it seems like the relationship with his parents wasn't the best, given that his father left him, at a very young age, kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, as the author describes. And then his mother seemed to be pushing him in a way of like wanting him to be successful, probably ushering him into a lot of activities that he may or may not wanted to get involved in, but she may have been working and absent a lot of his life. So, really wonder if the first book alludes to the relationship that he had with his parents.
So what I will tell you is the first book in this three-book series is Lazarus. And just looking at what they're saying, when they give you the overall view of the book, apparently Adrian did have something going on in that first book.
Mhm.
It looks like he was dating somebody else, because it goes down to the third book, which is Epiphany, where it actually changes to there's someone else. So I'm thinking,
Don't do that.
okay, yeah, because
Ah,
series, I like this series.
uh-huh. We're gonna have to read the first one now. We should have started off with that one.
Yeah.
But it's
Uh,
cool though, because this one gives us a unique perspective and it gives us curiosity, because I'm curious to know now. So that's
so, Tim,
even
what do y'all
easier.
think about the culture of this book, or is there any strong culturalism you think that's going on so far, or do you think that these are like just some everyday folks that's just doing their little thing?
I feel like it's for me everyday folk, and I think came out like, yeah. I mean, I felt like this was like the Black Friends almost, if I had to give a show to it, that's what I like, kind of like maybe a extended, different world kind of,
Wow, that's interesting.
vibe, vibe to it, up to date. I would imagine this is what a different world would be if they were to reproduce it now.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
Did you get what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because
I
that's the feel I got. If they were to put it back on like right now, reproduce it, this is what it would probably look like. That's the feel. So I was engaged, not so much like where things were happening, I usually like to read psychological thrillers, but engaged where like I want to see where this is going, like what's going to happen, what's going on, like everything. It was captivating. I really liked it.
Wow.
he
I
is.
just looked up something and I want to answer this question too. But I just looked up Lazarus and I had to educate myself, but it says God's helper. And I was like, oh, okay. Sometimes you gotta look, remind yourself of the etymology of these words. And then, um, of course, coven, we're talking about, a coven could be a written agreement or a promise. And then his next book, you said it was called Epiphany. I think there's definitely an underlying theme here with the author, perhaps finding his gift, building his faith, because coming out through these different experiences, it sounds like that's why I mentioned I really like the character development, particularly with Adrian's character. At least now that I'm seeing this, there's some things that he need to work on, but I guess he gonna come into an epiphany come the next book.
But you also got the play on the words. Lazarus also, was one of God's, Jesus's really good friend who, died and came back.
Right.
Yep.
So then that's
And
the
that's why
other,
they call him
you know,
Lazarus,
yeah,
right? That's his
Yeah, because
nickname,
they
his
were
line
throwing
name.
when he was pledging. They were yeah, that was his line name because when they were pledging, they were trying to kill his ass, but he kept coming back, kept coming back.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, yeah, of course he has a theme. Thank you for piecing that together because he did mention that in this book. I do want to say one of the cultures that I would say that I particularly like is I do like the fraternity culture. It is something about that brotherhood and that sisterhood that really gives you insight on like how connected people who are in a fraternities are and what type of relationship they share. I loved how the author illustrated the formality of their meetings and how they like were really serious about upholding the values and the mission of their fraternity. So I like that culture there.
Mm. So, do you think as they're growing, like from this, with we know with us knowing that this is book two and the growing that they have going on right now, do you think the story he's leading us on is one that's probably depicting what happened to him personally, but how he came through many adversities to be a success story?
I think I don't want to take away from his artistic ability, but I find it very. I would be duly impressed if he did not go through this because I find that there's a there's there's so much like feeling in this that I feel like you could only have lived through this,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm. So,
Absolutely.
but even if he did, like what about the if it was like his friends that's sharing this experience with him as he's going through this, are they going through the same thing? You think?
What do you mean?
Well, absolutely. I think, you know, the prime example of one of his friends going through some relationship stuff is his friend Isaiah, right? Like he, Adrian is obviously going through his experience of like coming out and just really accepting himself in this. Especially one of the leaps was attending a gay pride meeting. And so like he's discovering his own journey and discovering more about himself. And then it seems like Isaiah is going through relationship problems right now with Tania or Tanaya. And so definitely will say there. um and then it also seems like some of the other characters that he had ran into after the pride meeting, some of the younger freshmen were like trying to understand this gay world and like who is queer on campus, like, dating. So I think a lot of characters are um, pretty synced when it comes to like experiencing some of the similar things happening in the book.
Well, so I mean, in just reading up to where we are so far, are there any people that you think that you guys know um, that this story seems relevant to? Like this is their story.
I'll pose that question to you. I want to hear your perspective because you blowing shot and shooting the questions at us. I'm like, what did Charles take away from the book, especially in regards to the culture? I want to know your perspective.
Well, my perspective on the culture is that you have a bunch of young kids. They're kind of like they're all coming into their own, and I think the secrecy is so big right now because nobody wants to tell what's going on with them. But in Adrian's case, being outed most likely is what we think is happening there. Is Adrian is growing up quicker or faster than these other kids. So culture wise to him and having issues with family and so forth before leaving for college, he I think he displays a lot of culture of being of learning as he's going. And so what I'm interested in is to know exactly what's going to be the end game because it looks like he's going to have a whole bunch of little things here going on where he's going to be up and down a whole lot. And so what's going to happen in the end is the thing, which is why I think in order for us to pick up what after this, I think we should go back and do Lazarus next, because I think the continuation is going to make this thing like a real great story.
So we need to order it now. So once we're done,
Yes,
it's coming in.
Absolutely.
yes.
It'd be
Absolutely.
nice if you could get him to come on the next one.
Okay,
Um,
Yeah.
I would definitely try to do that. I would
you
definitely
know,
try to do that.
at the end of Epiphany. But you know, the other thing is that oh, I lost my train of thought. Um, oh man, I lost my train of thought. But oh, there are so many. So even in reading this, like I thought the dad left. I was thinking maybe the dad left because he was gay. So like that came into my mind
That
at
raised
one point.
question. Yeah.
Until the dad came back, it was like, oh, he had an affair, and the woman, the mother knew him, and all the other stuff. But the dad, I mean, this is like so real life, like the same scenario, And I had some feelings being stirred up. Oh, now that I'm
Yeah.
grown, I'm in college. You want to come back around, you know?
Right. Like I got everything I need, but I got
Yeah,
food.
not
Don't keep
exactly.
calling me.
I got, oh, now you want to come? Now you, so it felt so like, oh my God, why my black men? Why you guys got to do that? But all right, and I was like, let me stop. These are my own feelings, already.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was like, these how the dads do it. Like they leave. Now you're done. I'm in college. Now you want to come? But I do give dad props. He's hitting him off. He's giving him some money and stuff. But it's like, in a way, it's like this is not what I wanted. I wanted you to be there those years I was going and mom, told you to leave, but you abandoned us. You could have left her and still been with me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And him saying, well, I thought, and I would assume maybe this does happen a lot with some men where he was like, well, I thought, um, I was a bad dad, and any other man, stepdad, would have been a better, person to be in your life than what I would have been. But the
Yeah.
woman got bitter and all this other stuff, and instead of being nurturing and loving, he grew to resent her.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Right.
I felt some
Yeah.
of that too.
I did feel like the emotional abandonment, and I'm like, some of those conversations really were real. Like reading them and like him just being on the phone and arguing with his mother. He was very snappy, but it was like, you know, his mom seemed to be giving that same energy back too. So it kind of made it feel so much more real. It's like, wow, you know, this what happens. People do have disagreements or misunderstandings. And I felt a sense of and this was resonates with me and my experience, but I had emotionally absent parents. So it wasn't like I was able to get that empowerment from my parents, a lot of the times. Most of the times it was not really just it was understood not to display all your emotions. So just him having that experience of not having his father in his life and his mom kind of being like he not really embracing the relationship. I resonated with that because I was like, damn, that sounds like me when I was talking to my parents. I'm like, come on, y'all, like, stop. But like Monette said, it's real life. And I think, the author did a wonderful job of helping portray and bring up those emotions that you may have felt in the past. And also give you time to reflect on like how much you've grown as a person. So I like that.
The authenticity was there. Like in the course of the conversation, she was like, you don't come home. You haven't been home since this, and you don't even come home while I'm home. You come and get your mail when I wasn't home. And he's like,
Right.
he had more balls than I did though, because he was like, well, because we always arguing. That's why I don't want to come home. It's like
Right.
I would have been like,
And
well,
you know why we was arguing? But I
I would
think, the conversation is like, why didn't his mother have that conversation of why his dad left? I do feel like sometimes just honesty And those moments really can change the tide. I remember, you know, and I feel happy to share, but like I remember there was a pivotal moment in my life where I kind of resented my mom because of her substance use disorder. And when I thought my dad was the main contributor to it, so I'm like, hey, I can't stand both of them. And then it wasn't until my mom shared with me after so many years that she made a conscious decision to leave, like, and to go explore that life. And it was, it unfolded however it unfolded, but that moment of truth to tell me that provided me with so much relief that I didn't hold any resentment towards my father anymore. So it's like I feel like those moments are super important for people to have. And his mom may have not had the words to say right then to let him know why his dad left. Maybe perhaps she didn't even know. She was just going through the experience too, so we don't really know. But um, yeah, I thought that was just a pivotal moment.
The one thing I can say about that situation there is I kind of like my situation is a little different, but I think it's still relevant. And that is not knowing my real father until I was 44 years old. I could not, and I did not. It took me a while to forgive my mom for that because I had asked questions about that prior to, because I don't know, just something just gave me this feeling, right? But I think when you get to know something like that, or when something like that is a part of your life, it's one of those things that it's like you're being dealt a blow. But even in being dealt that blow, the thing I always think of is how are you going to handle it? So, I needed some time, and got over the time. But, even in that process, it's kind of like it made me kind of like feel like I had to build a wall around myself. And so I'm wondering, with this situation with this young man not knowing why his father left, and still wondering why mama won't talk about it, because I can relate to that because that really pissed me off. So there's no telling how he could be feeling from that.
Yeah, I mean, I was my life more paralleled his in terms of like how he said his dad was in his life up until 8, and then now he was coming back. That's how mine was. My dad was up in my life up until 6, and then he was gone until I was 21. And so, same thing. It's like, dude, I'm done. Like I'm doing everything. Now you want to come and all these, and the same thing. My mother didn't give me any answers. It was just, and I don't think I really asked. I think I'd have out. I remember having outbursts, like being upset, like he's not here and da da da, and going through photo albums and ripping everything up, and just being upset, but not really asking. But she also never really offered any explanations.
Because like I said, I'm not sure, what your age is, but I could tell you back when I was much younger, teenager growing up, then that's when family and friends of family, they be keeping on to these damn secrets and be holding on to them for so damn long.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because let's just say in a situation like that, what if I had gotten to the point that I would have dated one of my siblings from my real father?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been nasty as hell. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And see, and because nobody wants to talk.
I mean, I'm not even going to ask you to say how old you think I am because I'm not going to do that to us, Charles. But early 40s. But yeah, I'm from that era. Like these, this talk to me and tell me what's on your mind is something that's fairly new because kids, you want to be, you're seen and not heard. You don't ask adults questions. You don't that you there is like when I tell my son to do something, he says why. I'm looking at him like, boy, like where is this coming from? But that's what they're getting in school, but we didn't get that.
Right.
You don't ask why, you don't ask questions, you don't that's just how it is,
Hmm.
you know. And I used to think like that because I have a younger brother, and I'd be like, if I saw my brother right now and he was fine, like I might try to talk to my brother. Like that is crazy, you know. Like I might, and it's gonna be crazy, you
Right.
know. And I would always, think like that. Things like that would come into my mind. But yeah, same thing.
Mm.
Yeah, but it just do you know even after that, I'm gonna tell you, it took my mom. I'm gonna say like maybe up to 6 months after me actually meeting this man for the first time in my life when I actually walked over to where he lived and physically met him. And when he was telling me the things that he was telling me, I was like, it was just blowing my mind, right? So I'm just thinking, like, now I ask her this, and everything he's telling me, I know it's the absolute truth because I know a whole lot about my family. And I'm like, why the lies? That was something that I'm telling you, even though I'm like past that, I never will forget that. But because it's here, like sometimes when you see or you read or you see some things like this, it resonates and it just makes you think somebody else is experiencing this, but what's going to be their end result? You see, I think it's something that I internalized to keep from becoming some drama, but it's made me a much much stronger person that I was. And so, kind of like how you have to be even keeled, but we're always taught that we have to be even keeled regardless of the case, because we ain't got to like everybody else where we can express emotions and go cursing out folks and throwing bricks in windows and shit like that. But you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so in this case, so where we are right now, do you think Adrian is at a point that he's going to, by the time we finish this book, that he's going to be at a crossroad where he has to make a decision to do something that's either going to imperil him or make him better?
Uh, I don't know. I know Adrian is the main character, but I'm kind of feeling like Isaiah has some decisions to make. Like something, something's going to happen with him because he has some decisions to make too.
Right.
Yeah, right.
You know, and his decisions, directly affect Adrian. So, um, yeah. But what I'm enjoying seeing is in his writing, even though he did have the frat that was totally, out of pocket, he did get some good support,
He really did.
you know.
Yeah, I agree with the support. I I do believe that the character development and unraveling is going to blossom into something, and I think that's what maybe is manifested in the next book. Um, but I really do enjoy the illustration of the characters and how they're going through experiences that are like they're in a fight for their life. Like, I mean, Adrian just got beat the hell out of, like he thought he was gonna die. And it's
Hmm.
like for him to come back still healing and recovering from that experience, he is getting a lot of support and has a lot of people around him, particularly with the scene where him and Isaiah um, went up to it was like a deck place, I guess, little overview and of the city or of this campus. And Isaiah was just sharing like this is my spot where I go to heal myself, pretty much. Come up anytime you like. And I thought that was a special healing moment that they shared. And so I think he's really getting a lot of support. Um, and from his dad, right? Like whether it's not how that he particularly may want it to be, he is receiving a lot of support. That's a beautiful thing. A lot of people don't have that.
Hmm.
Well, I think they don't is because a lot of people don't actually either express or show emotions like they should. And so this is why I'm saying that, this is either going to be that good thing for him or it's going to be detrimental by the end of this book. Because it's all going to depend upon, I think, a major decision that he's going to have to make. And so I think that's the thing that's going to be very, very important about that. What
Hmm.
was that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Any other takeaways that y'all got from the book, from this um, first scene? I'm loving the romance in a sense, like the um, just like those subliminal moments where they have like they're like, oh, they're gazing in each other's eyes. They giving massages out. I'm like, okay, this is cute. Um, I do like that part just because, it really is innocent in nature, you know, um, but it still kind of like leaves you like, whoa, what could this lead into?
So,
Leaves you
with
suspenseful.
I mean, do you think that with this, it's like I don't know. When it comes to talking about the part about sex or whatever have you, I don't actually see them as using that as more of an expression. If you understand what I'm saying, because it's like he makes this like it's like it's an everyday thing. So what
Hmm.
I'm saying is like I don't really see like a lot of promiscuity. You know,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I see a lot of actions of just
Love.
feelings and emotion. Yeah, something like that. And
I
so
agree.
I think that's kind of like to me it reminds me of like a really toned down James Earl Hardy. Because if you read James Earl Hardy, you know he goes hard with that, and everything is about that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's subtle acts of love where it's like, particularly with the scene when they had went out for the run, right? And then they come back to the dorm and he's like, "You ain't even gotta walk. I'll lift you up. You so small. I'll take you back to the room and massage your leg. Call it no problem, whatever." And it's like that act of love, him taking him up to the rooftop, act of love, where it's just like they're vulnerable in those moments. And a friend is just here to just like help you. I do appreciate like it not being over sexualized, but you feel the compassion behind the acts of service that are taking place.
Mm, yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that much. Like the other author, I haven't read Hardy, but Elin Harris.
Now
Yeah,
see, yeah, see now with him again, another one. He was not as he's kind of like this, but he's a little bit above where he is
yeah,
when it comes to the sex.
yeah.
But Elin Harris, I don't know if you guys ever read Basketball Jones.
By who?
I haven't,
Elin Harris.
I
I've read
haven't.
every Elin Harris.
But Basketball Jones, that was the one that caught me off guard of all the books he's written. Because that book had so much sex in it.
Oh, I gotta go.
Oh my God, this can't be Elin.
Yes,
Because
erotica.
they were saying that that particular book of his was really based on his real life event. Because come to find out, I mean, I'm not all into folks' lives like this, but he and um what's his name? The guy that played with Magic Johnson on the Lakers. That they were actually they had a DL relationship. James Worthy,
Oh,
Elin Harrison, James Worthy.
oh, really?
Yeah. And so basically, this was all about that situation because now what's coming to light now, and again, see, people be talking all kind of stuff, but I ain't into all that, so I'm not trying to
Hmm.
research.
Hmm.
But they're saying that, well, actually, Isaiah Thomas is now trying to put Magic Johnson on Front Street, then they're saying that Magic Johnson is gay.
Mm.
And so, if you remember, it was the game that the Lakers played in Houston, and it was after that game that it was revealed that Magic was HIV positive when he came to front.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, I ain't trying to piece that together, but that's the story.
Okay. Okay.
But the Basketball Jones story, it sounds so real because it sounds like everything that happens in sports. And so, just being a former athlete, and when I read that book, I was just like, well, damn. Okay, well, who is he actually talking about? So I wanted
The
to know,
lived experience, right?
boy, I'm like, dang. Okay, they was off the chain in that book. I'm just saying, go back and read that book, and you're gonna be like, this is like Elin Harris has got to be talking about a real experience.
Mm.
Okay.
To be.
I mean, that's where the passion and the heart and the feeling come behind these books. Like you either heard it, you either been through it, or I don't know, something, seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you just think about it though, I mean, it's different between there's a difference between basketball players and football players. You see, football players are a whole lot more of that gritty, that grunt craziness, but not self-expressive. Basketball players are a little bit more of a flowy kind of athlete because they play hard, but they don't have to worry about too many of those other things to put them, well, to bring them into a situation that's going to be really, really difficult. So when it's a difficult situation, they're able to cope with it and deal with it, and it's over with. Notice how LeBron James does that. It's quick and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history. You don't hear about it no more. But it's different for football players because they're so into this muscle thing, and it's all about this ego thing. So it's like, you can't do this to me. So
Mm-hmm.
they can't deal and cope.
Mm.
But yeah, this book is like a really wide variety, has a wide variety and array of things that happens in everyday life. And what it's actually depicting is that there's got to be something in some part of this series or this book that's going to be relative to somebody that's reading it. Because I think once you start reading this series, I think this series is really gonna it's intriguing like James Earl Hardy used to be, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the books that he's written as of lately, I mean, his style is his style, but it's kind of like he's lacking now from where he was when he was in the heyday. And so I think with Rashid, I mean, he is. I don't know because I think he's kind of like been absent for a while, and so I think it's even when you go to his site, you know, I don't know. That's why it makes me feel like that I know that probably this is a real story to some extent. That probably
So,
something happened that probably made him stop writing.
Mm.
so my thing would be this, right? So if we think about it in terms of if we write from what we know, and you come to epiphany after it's all out, no, it's all boring after that. you know that like, but then you start trying to make things up, and then the stories aren't they don't flow as well. They're not, because you're trying to make it up. That's when you really have to get into the Dungeons and Dragons with the other person, the Harry Potter type stuff, because all the like, what makes an affair steamy is that it's an affair. But after you come out and the person left their wife for this one, that one, what are you gonna write? You're writing an everyday story, right? It's only fun when you're the mistress. If you now become the wife, it's a house story.
There's no more intrigue or no more interest.
Yeah.
being the mistress is always good. That's excuse me, Monette, and I don't mean this to sound wrong, but being the hoe is always worthy.
Yeah, it is. It's like that's where the juiciness comes in. That's where all the drama. She better get out the window. This person's coming. Da da da. But now we married. You're supposed to come here, okay? Like all the drama is out. So if I was writing a story and now we're no longer I'm out. There's no more hiding.
Right.
It's out. So there's all that authenticity and all the fear and all that, it's gone, it's out. Now it's going to pride meetings and doing whatever. You're no longer sneaking around. So
Yeah, she was a hoe. She was a
yeah.
hoe. And she's like, yes, I was a hoe. I did this. I'm like, well, okay, well, we already know that.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the man.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
So do you think do you think that when we get to the conclusion of this by next week that we're gonna have some twist that's in the last part of this book that's gonna have us rethinking?
I
Oh, hmm.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a third book, so I'm hoping so, and I think so. You
Yeah, I
know,
think it might be something to just kind of leave us hanging on the last bit of this book, and it's like, what? And then, to get us into epiphany, like, okay, I could see the unfolding of whatever situation or whatever we're left with. But I do see a plot twist in the near future.
Well,
I mean, like to date, I'm sorry, real quick, like to date, where I am in the book, his dad doesn't know he's gay, right?
Right.
He hasn't told his dad yet. And his dad is frat, so you're my frat brother, and I don't know. I
Been
thought that
pinned
was
by his best friend and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I thought that's what was happening in the picnic. When I was watching, I thought that the frat was telling the dad about him or something like that, because the whole frat knows he's gay. Like his whole chapter and the line knew he's gay. So it's a matter of time. Like I don't know how the dad's gonna find out, but I could assume, that's gonna be something, for him to find out. And it's like, you came into my life and now I got a gay son. Like, how is that gonna unfold? Is it gonna be
Right.
welcoming? And I don't care, you're my son no matter what? Or is it going to be, because the dad, his language is, who's this girl, are you in that situation, do you love a girl, what's going on? But he
Right.
hasn't asked. Like when I speak to my son, I tell my son, I don't care who, what you like. It could be a Martian, it could be a turtle. And he's like, how am I going to propose to a turtle, mom? No, but but I put it out there. And so that whatever it is, you can tell me. But his dad isn't saying it. That kind of language isn't being used.
Yeah.
He's just assuming. So, and then the mom and him already have, riff, so that's something,
Yeah, I
and
think we got a little foreshadowing too, because Isaiah was questioning him and he was already trying to like navigate that about like someone he cares about. And he's like, dang, I shouldn't have told him. So I think it is a foreshadowing. Um, and it leaves you in question of like, well, how will the dad take this?
mm-hmm.
well, you know
So I
something?
agree.
All them old school daddies, like my dad, they need to sit their asses down. They're just like we read the James Baldwin story of 1956. All of them was out there fucking men anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's like they just sitting there trying to say, "Oh well, you shouldn't do this. I don't like that. I don't like that." It was okay for you to go out there and do that, and your wife not know it. But see, I think being a father and what makes it difficult for a lot of our black men is society has given us a standard that we have to go by, and has dictated to those that feel like they have to follow that. So I think for those that feel that can't buck the system or won't buck the system or whatever they don't like, they do that because they want to say, "Well, I've been upstanding." You haven't been upstanding because you ain't truthful. But as you go later into your life and you get this part of dementia, Alzheimer's, and you start talking about the men that you've been with, now all of a sudden you'll be like, "Ooh, on my bad day, this is what I did. On my good day, did I say that?"
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Stop playing.
Now, did I say that? Mm-mm, I don't remember that. Nope. Dementia.
It's the medicine they giving me.
Yeah, it's the medicine. It's the medicine. Truthfully, there are some individuals definitely dealing with that related to medications and related to their illness. But there are some people who will take advantage of that and use it as a crutch, which um, shouldn't be the case. But we all have to, as they say, face our demons. We all have to face that other side and come to terms with it.
Well, you know something. Uh, I think once you're able to be comfortable with yourself, and if there are things that you feel like you've been holding back and blocking in your mind, when you're comfortable with yourself, you'll let it go. But I think when you let it go, you'll feel better about it because it's like, I don't have to hold this. This is just me, or I'm just being my authentic self,
Yeah.
you know? And I know that's hard for a lot of men, especially a lot of black men. And I'll tell you that I can say that I've probably been one that's been a victim of, not a victim, but I've been one of those folks that kind of like did some of that throughout my life. And so I think we have to kind of like just let these things go and just be who we are. Like for me, I don't take pride. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't take pride in the fact that, you know, once being a man that both loved both men and women, but then saying, just coming to the point that, you get so old that you can't keep doing that for the rest of your life because that's just not going to work. And it's not going to work because you get sick of that shit. But when I decided that I would get married and who the love of my life would be, I want you to know those last 26 years have been so easy for me. They really have. And so, I try not to be one of those influences on somebody that's got a son that they don't want to hear that kind of talk because they feel like you're trying to convert their children when you're not. Just the message is always learn that if you're not comfortable with yourself, then you need to learn yourself before you want to put yourself before other people. Because if you're not yourself before you get before other people, then you're just lying to them, you're lying to yourself, and you're living a lie. So it's
Hmm.
the truth that's the issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, that authenticity, as Monette touched on, and also I love the authenticity that was highlighted in the conversation with Adrian and Morris, the freshman. He was like, "Why not wear my bracelet? It's good for me. It lets people know that I'm down with the crew." And then it also keeps people who are homophobic away. So why not? And I
Exactly.
was like, that's just a brilliant way of like maintaining your power and not letting society strip you from that. Staying truthful to yourself is super important.
You know,
This,
for me, it's not that I have a different, like, I could see it both. I could see it both ways. Like, if I see somebody wearing something, like that they're wearing something rainbow, and it's like, oh, okay, like you're showing that that's, like this is what I'm into, or what, whatever. But like, I love rainbows. I wear rainbows because I like rainbows. you know and I go out and I got some lady winking at me, and it's like, whoa, I'm not it's not I'm not I think you're cute, but I wear this because I like it, not because I'm
Right.
saying anything. But I also have friends, and I know people who say, I choose not to wear rainbows or do anything like that because my personal life is personal and it's private. The same way, like, I don't they the same way they don't think, if there was something for heterosexual, they wouldn't wear it either. It's like, just whatever you do behind closed doors is that. But they also, I have people who say, I like to know, I like to hear what people have to say without them knowing who I am, or what I'm into, because that's when you're really going to get the truth. Because you may get somebody who's a chameleon, and and they're with you, and they're like, oh, oh, I'm so glad you're not one of those, da, 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 da. And it's like, oh, okay, so now but when they see somebody else, it's like, oh, hey, what's up? It's okay, whatever you're into. But then when that person's gone, it's like, oh God, I couldn't wait for them to leave. I can't believe, so sometimes it's good not to let people know, you know,
Yeah.
like what you're into, sometimes. I had somebody, at one time say that I tried to, hit on them. They were a female, and it was like, anyone who knows me knows, like, she doesn't go there. Like, she's, you know, strictly dickly, and it's like, excuse my language, but it's like, so you using that to try to bash me, and you just made yourself look really, like, a really, really bad, because it's like, that's not even her, so you tried to
Mhm.
use something that you thought you could, but it's not. And then the second thing is that, and if she was, you would not be her type.
Yeah.
You know something. When people assume, as you know, as my grandmother used to say, you make an ass of you and me.
Mm-hmm.
So don't assume. Ask me.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Ask me my preferences. Ask me. Yeah. Just be more vocal about that. But it does lie in a deep, deep, deep devotion to self discovery and self improvement and healing. So
Yeah.
um, that's why I'm loving the character development and loving the I have high expectations for the story to continue to be good as we end it out. And I'm super excited to talk about it next week. I do have to jet here
Well,
momentarily.
okay. Well, let me just tell you guys this before we close out, because we're ready to close out. I want to tell those that are out there that are looking at us on the many platforms that we are on. We appreciate that. We love that. And we would love to have you join this wonderful book club, because we have many great people here of many different varieties. Please
Absolutely.
check us out next Sunday as we complete Covenant. And you'll also be able to learn of what we'll do for our next book, which we've already decided is going to be Lazarus. And I will, when I put out the link for next week, I will just let everybody know that Lazarus is going to be the next book, and please purchase it. You guys have a great evening. Enjoy your families. And, you know, we'll just convene again next week. And I thank you all for your time.
Bye, you
Bye.
guys. See y'all next week.